Make some noise for your host, Kid Copious.
What up, perps? Kid Copious. Back in the bunker. Purple State Party. All things metal. Little common sense. Little poppers. You know how we do it here, man. Kick the show off. Let's get right into some of the gross shit, some of the fun shit. Unfortunately, we're going to start with something I found quite gross. Somehow here in California, our unemployment department decided to cut a deal with Bank of America where they get a kickback. They've already made $22.5 million off of fees for the EDD cards that they give out. You know, they put it on your debit card, and you go to the ATM, you get your cash, spend it, whatever. Use the ATM card, whatever. They're making a kickback, man. They won't even disclose how much Bank of America made. I mean, it's awesome how the rich get richer. You know, they say they help out, but they manage to scoop a little for themselves too, you know. But, you know, I mean, I'm glad they're getting, I guess I should be glad that California's getting some of the money back. I mean, they were scammed out of something like $30 million from criminals. You know, those lovely people that we assume are all rehabilitated, they've been in jail, they're all going to be good, and we should let them out. And meanwhile, they're in there scamming and drug dealing and whatever else they do. But yeah, you know, they cut a deal to get a kickback on the fees. I don't know, it just seems scandalous to me. You know, I mean, I'm sure it's all been made legal. You know, been made legal. They say it's okay, you know. But where does this money go? I mean, here in California, we seem to be like broke ass. But they've got marijuana taxes, cigarette taxes, road taxes, gas taxes, taxes on your taxes, you know. But the money, you don't see it. You know, they wanted, they had a proposition to raise billions of dollars to fix the schools. And we have the money. Supposedly last year we had a budget surplus. But, you know what it's about. It's all about union pensions because Democrats are just pushovers for every sob story, anybody who's powerful, they just bend over for them. And that's my problem with the party. They bend over for the nutcases and the money and the favors and the side deals and the side hustles and the kickbacks. They bend over for that kind of stuff, and ultimately it comes out of our asses. You know, and speaking of people coming out of our asses, you know, Creepy Joe, man, you know, said he wasn't going to do anything about fracking. Boom, blows that right up. You know, decides that a man who wants to compete as a woman, and you can see examples of transition men competing in races and in wrestling and in other things, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, like I always say, you know, no matter how much we want to, you know, provide equity and unity, a blind man can't fly a military jet. And there's certain things that just have to be like, you know, it doesn't really matter. What you say is fair is not what I say is fair, and vice versa. You know, he's already leading us into war. You know, they kicked the National Guard out. I mean, he has no plan for COVID because he doesn't have that kind of control. He has to turn it over to the states. Like here in California, it's been a mess because Democrats want big government. So they want to control it. Look at the list. You look at the list. Last time I checked, West Virginia was number one. You know? Because sometimes it takes hardcore beliefs to let go of your control. You believe that your version of smaller government, and that means the states have to do it. And the states don't have that, the Democratic states don't have that same sort of chutzpah. They can't give up control. They want to control where it goes instead of turning it over to, you know, private enterprise like CVS to do it. No, you know, broke his own mask, man. I don't really care about that, you know, but he's ending U.S. energy independence. And that's a big problem for me because we don't know what's on the horizon. And if there was ever another time of war, another world war, for example, we need our own energy. And we can't wait to ramp it up. And we're not saving anything. We're not saving the planet. I mean, 80% of our total power, comes from fossil fuels. It's just a fact. Even with his plan, I mean, 5% is solar and wind, and you know where the rest of it's made up, right? The other 15% or so, nuclear reactors. So he thinks that, and car companies are following suit. He thinks that within like 14 years, we are going to be running on electricity. We can't even keep the lights and the ACs on in California. We have to turn out the power during windstorms because the shit blows over and fires. Blackouts. I don't understand how you're going to run electric vehicles in the dead of winter in places like Buffalo. I just don't see it. And, I was talking about one of the reasons I don't like them is because they are for big government, and their government is not big government. It's total government, which is what they're going after now. Like Bronco illustrates here. This makes a great handbook, the Communist Manifesto. I prefer this one, George Orwell's 1984. They go hand in hand, folks. You might be cheering right now. You might be happy with your side because you beat the evil orange man. But just you wait. Just you wait, because this is what history has shown us, that every single time we put them in power, we end up suffering. We do. So we were talking about lame states not being able to let go. Gavin Newsom, here in California, he's a prime example of that. He thinks the government can solve all the problems. And he can't even solve one. He hasn't solved one damn thing. He goes against the voters. We voted to keep cash bail. We voted to keep the death penalty. But he got rid of the death penalty, and Garcon wants to get rid of cash bail. And the problem is, Newsom's not even a politician. See, ideally, I'd want a guy like myself, a regular citizen, somebody who's not beholden to all these special interests. Politicians have the special interests in their own interests. Gavin's none of those. Gavin's literally a puppet. He's a puppet. He's the pretty little puppet who's tall enough and eloquent enough, and they stuck him up there. He didn't even want to do it. And you could see it because he's an idiot. He's just a stone cold idiot. He does what he wants, and we're all to be damned. And one of the places where you see a lot of this just idiotic thinking is along the border. And they want to say that people such as myself who believe in a strong border, we're racist. We want to keep brown people out. That's it. That's all we want to do. It's not about safety. It's not about keeping out illegal drugs, counterfeit pharmaceuticals, children that are being smuggled in for nefarious purposes. No, we're just racist. But then again, 11 Iranians were arrested. Because it's easier to fly from Iran to Mexico and sneak across the border than it is to fly from Iran. Even if they allow you to do that, the red flags and hurdles you're going to have to jump through, they're not going to get operatives in. And yeah, they do. Guerrilla warfare 101 is you just hit the enemy small little times over and over again until they capitulate. Doesn't always work, but, it kind of worked for the Vietnamese, the NVA, the Chinese during the Vietnam War. They sort of wore us down through these little engagements. How do you think we won the American Revolution? If you don't think that we won the American Revolution against the British with guerrilla tactics, then you didn't study your history books. And we're reaching this point now, and we're reaching this point where even the thickest-headed people are starting to see the problems with their philosophies, with their kowtowing, the problems with their, narcissistic control of power, and just throwing money at things and just covering up with promises. That's what Gavin makes a living on. And so does Lori Lightfoot. I mean, this woman runs around talking about all of this shit that Trump's doing wrong, and her city is one of the more dangerous places in America. It's probably the biggest, deadliest place. I mean, New York, yeah, but I think Chicago's numbers even beat that. They even beat Washington, D.C. But we have this problem right now with the teachers union. And, you know, I know teachers, I've said this before, I'm sort of on their side. But now, the unions have made this statement that they're not going to have their teachers go back to work until the teachers are vaccinated. And as soon as people start to capitulate on that, they say, no, well, wait a minute. What we meant to say is until the teachers, the support staff, and the children are vaccinated. And we don't even have a child vaccine right now. We don't have one that's approved. The teachers union does not want to teach kids, even though we have kids falling desperately behind. I mean, how does a kindergartner learn anything remote learning? That's not what, it's not about learning your ABCs and your colors. A parent could easily teach that. It's social skills. It's dealing with school. It's the routine of school. And you're stunting these kids, and you're doing it under the guise of science, even though science tells you it's safe to go back. And even when they say, well, let's bump the teachers up, and prioritize the teachers for the vaccinations. Then they turn around and they say they're not going to do it until the kids come back. And then even somebody like Lori Lightfoot gets pissed off. I mean, I give her credit on this one. It's a hell of a lot more than Gavin's doing. Gavin ain't doing shit. He's just like, no, we need to keep it locked down. Whatever they say, whatever the powerful union says. I think it's time we just destroy that union. Because obviously they're completely self-serving, and they're not that, police officers are not refusing to go to work. Firefighters are not refusing to go to work. EMTs, paramedics, ambulance drivers. I work on alarms. I check systems that theoretically could actually save lives. I go to work. But more on that. Another gross bit of news is, you've got this guy, Kerry. I thought we were done with this guy. I mean, he goes to get an environmental award and he flies in a private jet. He wants me to reduce my carbon footprint. How much bigger is his? How many of me's does it take to fill his footsteps? His carbon footsteps? I mean, really? Seriously? You're flying around in a private jet. I mean, I can understand Air Force One. I'm not going to badmouth Biden for flying around in Air Force One. I'm not. That's what they do. This is John fucking Kerry, dude. Most people didn't even know he was still around. And he's flying around on a private jet to go get an environmental award. I mean, what? Did Pol Pot get a humanitarian award? I mean, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, if we're talking about individual accountability for the climate, which this, folks, isn't going to make much of a difference. Believe me, it's not going to make much of a difference. Our individual efforts are not going to make much of a difference. Okay, we need to clean it up, and there's countries out there that are polluting far more. No matter what we do, they're going to keep it up because they're advancing. They're growing. China is a growing country. What they're polluting now versus what's going to happen in 10 years, yeah. You really think they're going to stick with that? They're not. They didn't even feel that they had a responsibility to alert us to how bad this COVID was. Whatever. GameStop has done more to unite America in 2 weeks than Joe Biden has in 5 decades. And there's simple truth to that. He's a racist. He has had racist views. He's a segregationalist. He more than likely was part of the plot to falsify documents to make it look like the Republican candidate had colluded with Russia. He's a crook. He's a shyster. He's a liar. He's whatever. But he is not going to unite America. And nothing is, because the media is going to keep spinning it. They're going to keep spinning it so that we're always opposed. We're locked into our sides right now. you know? Some of us believe that this was the shadiest election ever. And then the other side says it was the most pristine election ever, you know? Because obviously they got their way. You know, I mean, fair is fair. That is why it is, because, but I don't know. I can't speak to that, because had Trump won, I don't know what I would be saying right now. But again, I don't think I would really be coming down too hard on Democrats that said it was hokey. Whatever. Reagan, he's pins up there. I like the guy. Visited his museum before a couple times. Conservatives won't tell you what to think. We just want you to think. And that's the truth. A lot of the policies that they put forth do have some common sense behind them. And even though, yes, you could say that his war on drugs failed, we had to do something. We couldn't just allow cocaine and shit to flow into the country, because we've sort of seen what it's like now. You know, you have stuff laced with fentanyl and people are dying. Look at our streets. They say there's 66,000 homeless people on the streets of LA. It's probably double that, to be honest with you. But a lot of them are there because of chemical dependencies. You know? And the answer isn't legalizing it. The answer isn't like over sentencing, but it certainly isn't what LA County and the Democrats are proposing. Just leaving them on the streets? Come on, man. Think. We need to do something. There needs to be consequences, and the rest of us don't need to suffer because they're unwilling or unable to take care of their drug problems. This was one of my funny ones for the week. I had fun. I mean, AOC recounts when Republicans tried to murder her at the Battle of Gettysburg. And yeah, you know, she was at the Cannon building. She wasn't really in the Capitol. It's hype and hyperbole. And yes, you can't fix stupid. You can elect it to Congress. And I do think she's a bit of an idiot, because, I mean, some of the fundamental ideas that she brings forward just don't work. You know, we're not going to get there with her climate change package. Raising the minimum wage, as far as we've seen so far, reduces people's hours to the point where they're out about $125 a month. That was based on the Seattle study. And certainly, you know, well, you know what? In the words of Jen, we're going to circle back to her far left leanings and why the one part that offends me the most. So you got Biden here, and apparently he did 42 executive orders in 10 days. You know, our government is supposed to be run by one person. That's not how Washington wanted it to be. And shut the fuck up if you want to say Washington was a bad person. And shut the fuck up if you want to say that Lincoln was a bad person, okay? You can't. Revisionist history and judging history by present day standards is just a load of shit, okay? And history will judge this guy, you know, because he came in and like a whirlwind just started passing all this stuff. What the fuck are the rest of them doing? On both sides, what are they doing? Why isn't the media calling bullshit on this? New York Times called bullshit on this, but nobody picked it up and ran with it. So, there you go. Jen circling back. See, we're circling back to Jen here. You know, he's an idiot, so he puts an idiot to speak for him. I don't understand the logic of that. She is just a deflector. Look, Republicans will argue with you. Democrats will deflect. Okay, we will try to make our point. They will deflect. You know, why is it that Gavin Newsom wanted to ban outdoor dining, even though people said outdoor dining was safe? Scientists said that outdoor dining was safe. And people congregating in the house to have their dinner with friends and family was really a problem. If they went outdoors, they'd be on guard. They'd be outside. You bring that up to a liberal, and he says Trump is a racist. Where's the border wall? Deflect. They don't have an answer, so they just deflect, and that's what she does. She just deflects. And that's gross. 183. She makes all that money to say circle back 50 times a day. I'm sure there could be some exaggerations in there, but you know, essentially her job is just to deflect. You know, that she was asked about Hunter Biden, and she says, "Well, that's a private matter. So you should talk to Hunter and his lawyers." No, bitch. He is the son of the president. And there's already evidence that Hunter has referred to his father as his guy. I mean, come on. Are people on the left really satisfied with this? Because they were satisfied with when they asked Joe his opinion on things and you say, oh, they'll know after the election. People were like, yay, bravo. We have no idea what we're voting for. We get this. We get circling back. We get deflections. We don't get answers. We have, and this, I think dude here sums it up best. She's saying she'll circle back because she doesn't have anything meaningful to say. Because they can't defend their policies. It's ridiculous. They tried for $15 an hour. They tried to shove it in the stimulus package. It failed. Because even some Democrats still have an ounce of common sense in their head. They know what does and doesn't work. Man. If we took all of the billionaires, it would be enough to run the federal government for less than 8 months. Our problem is not how much billionaires have, but how much politicians spend. They wasted 4 years doing nothing for their constituents. All they did was blame Trump. We'll protect you against Trump. We'll protect you against Trump. You shouldn't use this word, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, most of their districts were falling apart. Here in California, where some of the top Democrats represent, things are just falling apart, stagnating, dying, while they sit there and become famous with their little fucking sound bites, and they just blame Trump. I don't know what they're going to do now, but I have a feeling they're just going to keep blaming Trump. They're not doing anything. And see, here's the kinds of things. They're saying that they need to give $4 or $5 an hour more to grocery workers, right? So some stores closed, just a couple, and they weren't doing very well. But hero pay, the grocery workers. So you're trying to appeal to certain people by just handing them money, saying, here, you voted for me, so here's some money, The rest of you piss off. The rest of you who are out there providing for your families by working, by doing something that you have to do. My job is one of those. The state mandates that I do what I do. So, where's my fucking hero pay? And what would happen to our company if all of a sudden they had to pay all of us more money? That's not the goddamn solution. But that's what they want to do. They want to force the business owners. Because they seemingly don't care about business owners. I don't understand. Unless they're exempting the grocery stores that they shop at, I don't understand why they would do this. It's a grandiose idea, isn't it? But that's the Democrats. Oh, it sounds good. I'm going to breeze through this. I've never been a fan of Sheriff Villanueva, but he's going to start sending sheriff's representatives to parole hearings because Gascon won't. Our district attorney will not send prosecutors to parole hearings. Who does that benefit other than the person in jail for a crime? It doesn't benefit us. He's literally a crooked DA, and he's being crooked right in front of everybody. It's just absurd. It's just absurd, their ideas. Anyhow, let's just get into some of the weird shit and the best stuff of the week. 60% of the plastic waste in the ocean comes from 5 countries: China, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand. My guess is that China is about 58%, and those other ones make up the rest to get to 60%. That's my personal guess. China don't give a fuck. You got to remember that. They don't care. They're employing slaves. They're employing concentration camps. China is doing every single thing that y'all on the left hate. No women's rights. No gay rights. Pollute the planet. Big military. Lots of money go to the military. Concentration camps. Racism. slavery, everything. And you guys somehow still support people who support them. I don't get it. You should be barfing that the president's son has an interest in a Chinese company, a controlling interest or a voting interest or whatever the hell you want to term it. You should be sick to your stomachs about it, but you're not. I mean, who's brainwashed? Come on. Huh? It's not me, because I don't support China. I don't even support the NBA anymore because they chose China over Hong Kong. Bye. Hey, here we go with John Kerry. You know, again, it's just hypocrisy. It's just absolute hypocrisy. And this was my favorite right here. I love it because it's just funny. It's political, but it really doesn't take any sides. But I said I was going to circle back on something, and I'm going to. The left believes that being offended and canceling and controlling the words we use and controlling what is or isn't acceptable, okay? They say they're doing it for unity. They say they do it for equity and all of these things. But what is the real end result? I'll tell you what the end result is from my experience, okay? What they're trying to do is they're trying to make every single group uncomfortable of the other group. They're trying to divide us. They're trying to keep us separate. They don't want us uniting. That's the insidious thing about the cancel culture. When I'm around people of color, whatever color, other than pale, right? Man, I avoid certain words, of course, man. I'm not going to use something derogatory. I don't have hate in my heart, man. I have love and laughter. And I make jokes, man. And I get along with people. I mean, I get along with people because they realize that I'm not trying to hide anything with my words. That I'm treating them just like I would treat a white guy. I don't feel uncomfortable. I don't feel that I need to filter things out. And that's really dangerous for them. And you need to think about that. Why is it that they purport to be for equality, unity, equity, and all of these things, but then they design a system that actually goes the other way? College debt forgiveness is being labeled as white privilege, but most of the college debt is from whites and Asians. But they want to make it about other people so that other people will get upset about it. They purposely do that. They purposely have put out things like pronouns, knowing the right pronouns. So now if I'm around somebody that's transgender, I have to be extra special careful. How am I supposed to bond with that person? How? How is that person supposed to bond with me? We're constantly checking each other for words that mean nothing, man. They mean nothing. The only words that we should be worried about are hate. True hate. Not accidentally not understanding somebody's nationality or orientation or gender even. You know, I'm sorry that I can't tell the difference between every nationality out there. Can you tell what I am? Do you know what I am? I could be from a giant group of people and you'll never get it right. I don't think people would ever get what I am. That's just the way it is. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. A lot of people that I've known, their families and their friends just refer to me as the white boy. I get it. Maybe it was a little derogatory, I guess, but it never hurt my feelings. But they need us at each other's throats so that they can operate in the shadows. That's the opposite of what I want. That's the opposite of what Purple State stands for. We want everything in the light. It's kumbaya over here, man. I'm just trying to open your eyes to stuff. I'm not trying to pull you to any side. I'm trying to pull you to the middle. Copious out.